So today we're going to talk about Scalps, 1983, one of the early films from independent B-movie, horror, action, exploitation, movie director icon Fred Olen Ray. Scalps was like the second film he directed. His first film was The Alien Dead, his first big feature. Alien Dead, shot in Florida, southern Florida. Moved to Los Angeles and was able to, with some people, put together Scalps, which is, a desert slasher film, a survivalist horror film, whatever, in the tradition of Death, Curse of Tartu or Evil Dead, or, it's that type of film where a group of young people travel to an isolated place and face some kind of paranormal evil. Which wreaks bloody havoc on them, and they must fight to survive. In the case of Scalps, it's a bunch of college kids who are going on an archaeological dig in the desert, and they start getting possessed by these ancient Indian spirits, and there's some scalping and what have you. Good film, and by the way, we're also going to talk about the recent Blu-ray release. But Scalps is a very inspirational film for me. I've watched it. I've watched the original Retromedia DVD over the years, and it was every time I'd read about it, and then you see those gory stills and the original VHS release, which was a double feature with the Slayer, and then there was that other release which just had the skull in it. There's not much to the movie. It's a very simple film. I don't think Fred Olen Ray thinks very much of it. For him, it was just a film that went out and it was one of his early films, and that amazingly was able to be blown up from 16 to 35 millimeter and do a theatrical release and have a certain degree of success. It did not just disappear on VHS. It had a lot of success. It was reviewed by Siskel and Ebert and all the rest. And and there's not much going into it. It's just a bunch of group of kids. They go in. There's some decaying skeletons and a couple of scalpings. There's not a lot to the film. There's a little bit of special effects, and the scalpings the scalping. I think there's really only one main scalping in the film. It's relatively well executed. I think Bart Mixon and a few other people worked on the effects, but it's really well executed. It's as well executed as Savini's scalpings in Maniac. I would say, as good as that. But overall, it's just a 80-minute slasher. What was being made at the time. But there's something to Scalps. It just has this very grim, downbeat kind of tone to the whole proceedings. There's just something kind of strange to it, and it feels so grim and depressing. I think what contributes to that a lot is, I think first of all, the desert cinematography. There's something kind of, strange to it. And Fred Olen Ray has said that he when he made this film, what he was trying to do is give you the feeling of being claustrophobic in a wide open space. Being in this wide open desert, but somehow you're just being crowded in. And I think he's successful in that. Beyond the cinematography, and so I think the performances are overall pretty good. You've got about 5 or 6 leads who are, and then you've got the 2 girls. Joanne Robinson is DJ, I believe that is her name. I think and then the other girl is Carol Sue Flockhart, and then there's another girl, I forgot her name, but they're all good, and especially Joanne Robinson. She kind of has those, sparkly eyes, twinkly eyes, and there's something about that takes you in. But I think beyond the cinematography and the performances, which are okay, I think the music which is just this constant droning synthetic synthesizer soundtrack. It just, I mean, it kind of evens out, you know, the out of focus shots and the screen direction errors or any kind of the technical issues. There's something that, you know, that the soundtrack is so just consistent throughout the film. It's like, I don't really think it ever stops. It just goes from, you know, pretty much the entire thing, you know, has this weird blurbly bo 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 synthesizer soundtrack, and it just really evens it out and sets a good emotional tone that this is something spooky and scary, you know. So I think overall it works, you know, and it was always an inspiration for me, you know, given that I wanted to make independent films, and you see what they were able to make here and how interesting it really turned out, and you know, I got that Retromedia DVD and, you know, would watch it over and over because it had a really great commentary track by Fred Olen Ray and Lee Langford. And it was just a great commentary track. You know, Fred Olen Ray, quite the raconteur. So any kind of Fred Olen Ray audio commentary on a movie is just, you're going to learn something, you're going to laugh, it's going to be entertaining, it's going to be interesting if you're interested about movies and B-movies. You know, Fred Olen Ray is just locked into that. He's just a scholar. He's great. He's a scholar and a gent, and it's just, and that commentary track, oftentimes, I mean, I must have over the years watched that like 24 times, just putting the DVD and the commentary track on some boring night, just in the background, just like someone might turn a radio on. I have a tendency to turn on, you know, my favorite commentary tracks, like Chud or Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead used to be a while ago, the Dan O'Bannon Return of the Living Dead commentary. But in most cases, it was Scalps. You know, I'd listen to the commentary over and over and over. Scalps, yeah, took a long time to get to DVD. Took a while because there were rights issues with it. And then when Fred Olen Ray got the rights back, and he had problems getting a completely uncut version of the film. He was able to get some negative material from it, but but apparently this negative was censored. Apparently, in just about every other region of the world aside from the United States, Scalps, all of this, any kind of the sex or there's not really, there's one, you know, sexual scene, but all the violence, the special effects, it was all cut out. And which is amazing, really. Fred Olen Ray is amazed on the commentary tracks. He talks about, why was this cut? What was wrong with it? And really, it's not really that an explicit a film, you know, compared to like something like Maniac, you know, or some of the violent slasher films of the day. I mean, it's just, you know, ridiculous why you'd want to cut Scalps. But they did. And so that original DVD release had a video transfer, but then all the scalping scenes he had to cut them in from a tape master to make it fully uncut. And the new Blu-ray is the same thing. It has a new high definition transfer of Scalps, which looks grainy. I would not say it's still going to look grainy. It looks as grainy as the original DVD, but I think the added, you know, space on Blu-ray and the resolution, you know, it definitely looks better. Oh yeah, it absolutely looks better, but I mean, it's just like, it was a little bit smeary and but now you can see the golf ball sized grain is very, very, very visible on this Blu-ray. I mean, I don't think really the resolution of this is really, I doubt it has even 720p resolution, but I mean, obviously it's a 1080, what I'm saying, it's a 1080p Blu-ray, but it's just the grain, the 16 to 35, you know, interpositive transfer is just, you know, there's just only so much you can do with that. But it's still, for what it is, if you love grainy, gritty, that grindhouse stuff, if you love Blu-rays that really show that off, this Blu-ray shows it off. It's not one where somebody tried to go in and fix the grain and do noise reduction and turn it into some kind of smeary, waxy mess. Nuh-uh. This is pure prime grindhouse 35, from 16, just right there in your home theater. So if you want a demo piece to show off, oh, this is how grainy a film can be and how it can be reproduced well on Blu-ray, this is something maybe you might want to get a copy of this. It has a retrospective featurette with interviews from Fred Olen Ray and his son Chris Ray and two of the male actors, which is really nice. It kind of goes over some of the same material that he did on the original commentary track. And then speaking of commentary tracks, this new Blu-ray has a new commentary track that's just solo Fred Olen Ray. And I like it. It really covers pretty much the same ground as the original commentary track. I don't think any information is dropped off, and there's new information as well. So in a perfect world, you would have the original commentary track and then the new commentary track. That's the perfect scenario, but I guess I'll just keep my original DVD and then watch this one as well. So, a great little early 80s slasher film, an early film from the great director Fred Olen Ray. I don't know, there's just something, there is just some kind of energy to this. There is something kind of grim and spooky, and that just makes this film succeed. I think it's really mostly the soundtrack is why it's so good, why I'm so interested in it. But in any case, there it is, Scalps, an interesting film, and Blu-ray that's really worth it.